Well, that's the theme music. That's the beginning. It's the Monday night before Thanksgiving. It's the off night. I'm going to be bringing on our poetess, the lovely Miss Susan, but most importantly, the man who gets this all going. Hey, it's Mark Sweetman.
All right, I'm here. Hold on just a second. What did I do wrong? I did something wrong. Okay, here I am. Okay.
The sizzle reel continues.
Yes, the sizzle reel continues. Okay. Hold on just a second.
I can't wait to...
There we go.
There we go. All right. There we go.
There we go.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, when I did all the intros and Seth Wrestler was doing all the tech stuff, it went a lot smoother. So, let me take care. Let me bring this down. There we go.
There we go.
Well, that was a nice smooth go down there. There is a way to pot down rather than to just cut it off.
There you go. I just can't wait till that time comes when I'm competent enough to edit you into some Star Trek episodes when they cut to Mr. Sulu or Scotty, and I'm going to have you going, hold on, no, wait a minute, excuse me, I think we've got it. And as the alien menace, comes crashing in, so I think it'll be a wonderful sort of mashup. Hi, Susan.
Hi. Happy November 24th, I think it is.
November 24th. It's the 10th anniversary of the time that my wife and my two daughters followed Tim Allen in the Thanksgiving Day Parade when he was the Grand Marshal. So.
Yep.
Well, there was a time the FBI would be following Tim, but that was a different time. Well,
I think that's over now.
I think so.
Let's hope.
I think he's got his American forgiveness.
Well, at this point, I remember, not to get all dark and prisony to start with, but
dark and prisony.
I do remember hearing, because Tim Allen kind of blew up just as I got out of the big house.
Right.
And I'm sort of like, thrashing around like anyone who's just briefly been detained to go to state college for a minor little trivial infraction. If only Coram were here to speak on it, it would be interesting to hear his take. For distributing various narcotics without a license.
All right.
Who knew?
Yeah. Anyway, you were saying.
You're saying you didn't have your pharmaceutical license.
I'm just saying it was interesting, seeing Tim Allen kind of hit the bigs right about when that's happening. And it's like, you know what? Okay, I've had a road bump, a little bump here, but you know what? Other people have had just the same, if not worse, because Tim did have it worse. He did more time. He did time in some real tough places. And yet there he was on the silver screen at that point, burning it up with his stand-up. So
yep.
At one time.
Just to clarify, Mark said, 10 years ago my daughters and I were following him. We weren't stalking or anything. We were at parade horses behind him.
They were right behind him in the parade order.
Yes, we were right behind him. So at one point, when Mark and our youngest daughter were off to the sidelines, and Mark was waving, and I hollered, Tim, Mark Sweetman. And he turned around and looked at me, and he's like, where? I'm like, over there. He's trying to say hi.
Wow. I was wearing my Michigan winter jacket, I remember.
And my favorite regular guest on his show was Earl. Was it Hinman? The guy who played the neighbor whose face you never completely saw.
Earl Hinman. Wilson. He played Wilson. Wilson had no first name. It was just Wilson.
It was just Wilson.
Yes.
It was just Wilson.
And the fence.
And the fence, right.
Wilson and the fence.
Although
it's so great. They have clips of their curtain calls that they did, and he came out where he was holding a little fence in front of his face, and it came out for the curtain calls at the end of the show.
Yeah.
What a great gig! You could be famous and still go out in public, because nobody knew what he looked like. So
at this point, sell my soul for a series. I don't know. I would sell my soul just to be like the opener, just the guy who goes out and does the 5 or 10 minute warm up for you take your pick, man. Because my understanding is it's a pretty lucrative gig to have. Someone.
One of my I know a lot of guys that do that. One of the biggest ones is Mark Sweet from here in Detroit.
Really?
Yeah. his dad, I can't remember if he was a distributor of films. He owned the Town Theater in Oak Park, I think it was, or maybe it was Southfield. I don't remember but his dad also did distribution of film. So he was kind of in show business.
Yeah.
He was a musician.
But anyway, Mark did magic.
Magician, wasn't he? Who? Mark Sweet? Wasn't Mark Sweet a magician?
No. The Mark Sweet I'm talking about. You're thinking of Mark Sweetman. There's a Mark Sweetman in Toronto who's
no. There's a Mark Sweet who's a comedian.
All right. Yes, he is a comedian. That's what I'm talking about. He does audience warm-ups. That's why I brought him up, because we're talking about guys that warm up audiences. But he's from Detroit, and he started out as a magician. He does impressions.
I just said that he was a magician.
Susan,
Mark's not listening.
Susan's oh, come on now, kids. Play nice. It's getting near the holidays. Let's save the big...
True story. 1980 or something like that. He called up the Comedy Castle to get on stage, and he said Mark Sweetman, and Ridley thought it was Mark Sweet. Oh, you're back in town, of course. Come on, bye. And Mark Sweetman showed up instead of Mark Sweet.
We expect the Mark Sweetman, not you imposter.
That was November 6th, 1979. My first gig at the castle.
Okay.
Oh my goodness. God, I can actually remember what I was doing in early November of 1979.
Well, I tell you what, it was 2 days after the hostages were taken in Iran.
Yep.
So basically, Nightline on ABC every night counted my career, how long my career was. It was day 421. I just had to subtract 2 days from that, and that's how long I had been doing comedy. How long have you been doing comedy? I don't know, 212 days.
Well, let's see here. How many days have they been? Talk about a captive audience. There you go.
But I'm bummed.
Yeah. Look, come on. You're not paying for this, folks. It's free stuff. All right. Hey, Susan.
Yes.
This is Mark's thing. I know. I'm stepping on his toes. Oh my God. What about a poem? I mean, come on. You're lyrical.
I'm
genius.
Waiting for you all to ask for it. I've got it right here.
Right.
Jeez, basically, we talked about this before you got here. We're killing time because there's no Andy,
That's right. I'm trying to.
Dan is busy right now.
Stay
put. Let me give you the poem. Here we go.
Susan wants us to stay on the screen too while she does.
All right.
All right, you ready?
It's just me and Don and the other guy.
Okay.
Bob,
here's your poem, ripped from the headlines, November 24th. The Jim Henson auction is underway. Here are the deals I found today. Miss Piggy's shoes are going on sale. And Muppets, too. The auction shall avail. Democrats dared to suggest military follow the law. But then the orange man made a great big guffaw that the military refuse unlawful orders and oppose. Trump suggests execution of these Democrat foes. Yeah. Thanksgiving arrives this Thursday on November 27. Get your appetite ready. Hope it tastes like heaven. Department of Transportation urging passengers to behave. So when that door flies off your plane, lean out and wave.
I like that.
That's your phone.
We will be sending Miss Susan on a Spirit airline on Thursday, just so that she can function as Miss Manners and to enforce.
Okay, if I may, it's my show, so not only will I will.
You will.
You know what? Spirit Airlines is the Spiro Agnew of
Spiro
Agnew. Oh my God!
I know Spirit Airlines is the Spirit. Everybody made fun of Spirit Agnew. Everybody makes fun of Spirit Airlines. It's kind of like the go-to,
Yeah.
It's like you like a comic will go into town. What's the hick suburb? Taylor.
Yeah,
all right,
Taylor.
Tucky.
Taylor, Tucky. Spirit's the bus in the sky.
But anyway, can I say something about Spirit? They have the youngest fleet of any American airline.
They do.
I think you are correct, sir.
Yep.
They have all Airbuses 320s and 321s, which is a great way because now you've got mechanics that are only working. Well, in 320 and 321, there's only sort of in-flight differences. The engines and the body, all that stuff is kind of the same. So your mechanics that keep them in the air, I don't give a shit about the flight attendants and what they have to deal with between the two models. I'm worried about the mechanics and the pilots keeping the thing in the air.
That's right. That's right.
And here comes the stewardess after recently being released from prison.
My biggest complaint is that their seats are very uncomfortable. A 5-hour flight to Los Angeles is where I usually take it. It's very, but the
and I don't book it in advance, so I'm always in that middle seat.
the flight from Detroit, I've taken it to New York a couple of times. The flight from Detroit to New York, you're up and you're down. It's really not that bad. It's the flight to Los Angeles. It's kind of a bummer, but you know, I don't think they're that bad. Now they charge you for baggage, but you know what? When I'm going to New York or LA, I'm not taking baggage with me. I'm going there to do something. New York, it's to get to the hotel and get to the theaters and, you know, do all the stuff that you want to see in New York. In Los Angeles, we're visiting family, so you know, I don't need all the accoutrement that all the other airlines give you.
I flew Spirit once to Los Angeles, but I couldn't get a nonstop, so I had to change planes in Las Vegas, which actually wasn't bad because I wasn't there very long, just long enough to buy, you know, a $50 bottle of water or however much it cost, you know, and then I was on the next plane, but it was enough time to stretch my legs, and so it wasn't too bad. But I was squeezed in that middle seat, you know.
Now, how was your landing in Las Vegas? Because I don't think I've ever been with you when we go to
I remember it as uneventful because I don't remember it, so it must have been fine.
That $50 bottle of water might have been more than
30 years. It's been 30 years since I've gone through Las Vegas, but I just remember taking off is fine. Landing is Vegas. It just feels like the wind is going to drag you right into the ground. You know, it's just one of those, it's really bumpy going in there.
Yep. That is McCarran Airport, which, for those of us who remember the famous scene in Godfather 2, is supposedly the pattern for Senator Geary in Godfather 2, who yes, that is supposedly the guy. It wouldn't surprise me. I mean, again, one of those things they probably had to take some liberties because there's only so many lawsuits even a big movie is willing to put up with. You know, I mean, especially if people are like still alive, which at the time they were. And you said you're flying out to New York. What I think we know is because he's actually Detroit's funniest button man, who's called on by the Five Families to come out and fix a problem or two. I think we all remember from every great gangster film. What do they always do? They bring in the hitter from Detroit, who never actually gets the job done. Somehow or another, it's always muffed and whatever. And the guy's
unless it's Tommy the Hitman Hearns, you know, then he takes care.
Okay, yeah, that's boxing. Yeah, that's true.
You have any other questions about what's going on in the news?
I'm surprised. I'm not trying to, but you didn't mention that Elon dropped the location thing on Twitter or X or whatever it is. So now everyone can see where all the bots are from. And we're finding out that
then he took it back because they weren't all from America.
And you know, again, that's interesting. You're right. It was he only had it for like an hour or so, but yes, it exposed that hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of these political sites were all coming out of Israel, India, Pakistan, Bangladesh. Who knew? Yeah, and like bot farms, and they had all kinds of.
And we're not surprised. So
no, we're not. Not only we're not surprised, we're like, I knew it all along. You know, it sort of confirms the bias, and I don't know. I mean, Twitter, all social media has become such a corrosive sewer of human filth and degradation.
Yeah,
and that's on a good day. I'm German, Susan. I can't help it. This is what I do. I just sort of lapse into that sort of, I want to say Frankensteinian darkness, but he was actually Austrian. If you read the book, whatever. I mean, it's just
German though is the home of the small town villa Christmas festivals. Though it's very happy and bright.
It gives us a Tannenbaum. Come on, how bad could they be?
How bad?
All right. Well, if you have no other news questions, I'm going to.
Let me see here. Hold on.
Arrivederci.
No, you're not going anywhere. Not till we say you. No, I don't. But you know.
No other questions like Miss
Well,
Piggy's shoes she wore in the Great Muppet Caper on the bicycle.
Are they
And those
selling
going up
everything? Are they selling everything off? What happened?
They're
now?
selling a lot off. I guess they've never sold anything before, and it's the 70th anniversary or something like that. So they're auctioning off
Which means,
Fraggle, Rock Muppets, and all kinds of
the whole Jim Henson accoutrement from
Jim Henson creatures. Probably not everything, but they are auctioning off quite a bit. They estimate things will go from $1,000 to $60,000. I don't know.
Okay,
we'll see. How they can make an estimate on something that's never happened before, I have no idea. So, but I like Miss Piggy's little shoes. They were adorable. She's probably up there, one of my favorite Muppets. Classy lady.
You mean Piggy? Classy Piggy.
Miss Piggy.
Hey, can you guys live
a
with
great actress? What range?
Guys, I've got to step out for literally 60 seconds. I will be right back. Okay. I just got to get something out of the freezer.
All right, I'll stick around for your 1 minute break.
I'm glad Susan didn't leave. So
no.
Now I read in the article which when I say article, I like the New York Times because the New York Times gives you everything you need to know in the first paragraph, where you get all the information that you need to know. And then if you want to go into any depth, it's further on in the article. The way journalists used to write, not this clickbait crap where they don't tell you what you want to know until the fourth or fifth paragraph. But anyway, they were talking about Jim Henson's studio has been dismantled. Did they ever have a physical studio that you know of?
He had the Creature Shop. I don't know if that was a studio, but it was called the Creature Shop, and I believe it still exists.
Well, here's something that's interesting.
It's over in Europe.
Here's something that I thought was interesting that I heard reported this week, and that is Hollywood. We're already to November 24th. Hollywood has not had a blockbuster this year.
No.
I think they're talking about that's going to be from that Wicked, the movie 2, Act 2, or whatever it's called.
Oh, that's going to be the blockbuster?
I think so.
Isn't that out already?
That's out, yeah.
I see coming out. Well, I guess as of November 24th, no blockbusters.
They might want to consider going back to making just movies that are about entertainment.
Yeah. Or here's an idea. How about a movie with a good story?
What was the movie that came out that lost to Moonlight? La La Land or something like that? It was a musical.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you say Moonlight, I think moonlighting. So I think Cher. I think not John Cusack, but what's his name? The other fella from the Coppola family.
Nicolas Cage.
Nicolas Cage, exactly.
Moonlight was about the gay mentor or something. I can't remember. I saw it, but I can't remember what. It wasn't.
Or it was a TV show with Bruce Willis and Sybil Shepherd.
Shepherd, yeah.
Yes, it was. And that
was actually a very good TV show.
They notoriously hated each other, but it didn't matter.
Oh, they did.
We watched anyway.
They jumped the shark when they put them together in a relationship because it was so good before that.
Yeah,
whether it was them loathing each other coming off on the screen, but it just came across as the sexual tension and the love-hate relationship. And those first several seasons were really, really good until they put them together, and then it was eh.
Yeah, and now of course, we have.
It's like when Danny Partridge and Reuben Kincaid kind of started getting chummy with each other instead of.
Well, I think we knew. I think when we had the Partridge Family in Deliverance Country episode, we kind of knew that was there was. When he's like, Danny, can you play the banjo? And let's go. Let's go.
I can. Just don't call me boy.
Wow. Yeah.
Well, they recast. If we're talking about the Partridge Family, remember they recast the younger brother with a different actor, because that was the thing that you did on Broadway and stage plays, you could just, have the understudy play the part or recast it if necessary.
What,
but
the kid
David
outgrow it?
Cassidy was such a unique and special talent and star when he was, I don't know, maybe asking for more money or something and threatened to leave. They thought they could recast him, and they just
no.
They could not recast him. And he was really the forerunner of you can't be replaced. Roseanne had to do it, but they made a lot of funny jokes about the original Roseanne show when they recast Becky.
Yeah.
Second Becky.
Yeah.
She said that's one of her nicknames. I saw in an interview. Her nickname is Second Becky.
I just don't want to be, Dick Sargent. I mean, let's face it, that
right.
career was definitely on the way up. Well, maybe not, but
Dick Sargent.
There you go. I mean, could you think of? I'm sorry you have to hear this, Susan, but can you think of a more gay porn name than that? I mean, it just we won't go any further than that. I'm just saying.
What was the Mr. Brady actor's name?
Well, at least
Robert Reed.
Robert Reed doesn't.
Reed.
He sounds like he might be the director of an all-male erotic thriller.
I'll tell you what. When I saw Roots replay and Robert Reed in there playing this romantic lead, and knowing what we know now, it was so funny to me. And it wasn't supposed to be a funny scene, but
no. But he also plays an absolutely brutal slave owner. He has no problem having.
No, but he had an affair with the blonde. Now I'm drawing a blank on her name. She's a famous actress.
So is Robert.
Seeing him play this,
Yeah. Same thing with Lauren Green. Remember Lauren Green, stately, nice Lauren Green, and yet he's also just a massively horrible. Now Vic Merle, perfectly cast. Hold on, we need an overseer. Vic Merle, done. I mean, that's one of the fastest casting decisions ever made. We need the guy who can be really nasty and mean on screen. Okay. You're not. It wasn't like between Henny Youngman, Vic Merle, and I don't know, Rip Torn. Yeah.
Well, if you go back and watch Roots, I mean, it holds up. It's a good story. See, again, story is important. But Sandy Duncan was so good in that. And you loved her, and then you hated her. And it's her great acting that made that possible. She's another one love her character and then hate her character.
Wasn't she another one who was replaced on her series because she was costing too much money? Or
nope.
No,
Sandy Duncan was the one that. Sandy Duncan replaced Valerie Harper. Sandy Duncan replaced Valerie Harper.
Yeah, she replaced Rhoda. You're right. When Valerie.
Yeah, when Valerie had a falling out and left the show, then Sandy Duncan stepped in and played his sister or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I loved Sandy Duncan. But you could hate her character in Roots.
Well,
she is a good actress.
Yes, I mean. I've got a couple guys behind me who are, can sort of attest to that, and the ability to sort of morph it. People forget, De Niro is playing a Jew in Casino.
He played a Jew. He played a Jew in Once Upon a Time in America.
Yes, and James Caan in Godfather plays an Italian.
Yeah. Exactly.
Here's this big old red-haired. Big Jewish dude from New York, and yet, but he pulls it off so well.
I'm sure there was somebody who said, James Caan, can't we get De Niro? Oh, we got plans for De Niro.
Well, and what James Caan said was that he took the role of Sonny Corleone. He played it as Don Rickles, and when you think about it, it's a
they did sort of a contest like that on that fellow who does the podcast. He had Henry. He was a writer for Obama. What's his name?
John Lovett. John Lovett.
Yeah. Just recently, he had Henry Winkler on, and then Mo, that stand-up comedian, and they had to rate the non-Jewish actors playing Semites in some different films. It's a very funny little podcast game show.
I haven't watched that one. I'll have to watch. That's a great.
It's pretty good.
There's a
Henry Winkler interview. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to.
It was just on a few days ago or a week ago.
I'm going to talk to Jason here in just.
Okay.
One of the shows that you should look. I think I've already mentioned that to you. Love It or Leave It.
Yes, Love It or Leave It.
That is an audience. Now they do regular table shows for their podcast, but they also do this Love It or Leave It with a live audience. Another one that does that I like. You should watch it just for the technical and the production values of it. It's called The Holy Post. You've mentioned this. It's a Christian podcast, but I'm suggesting it to you.
It's more like this, only with good production value.
With good production value. No,
the theme is completely different, but the setup is similar.
It's the difference between having the majority of your people in the same room and only having one or two feeds in.
Right.
And then they have a controller or a director that kind of controls all that stuff, so that the people that are talking, like me, don't have to worry about all the technical stuff.
Well, and the difference between this and that is about $4,000.
Well, there you go. I got a lottery ticket for this weekend. We'll see how we do. So
I'm going to say goodbye.
Good night, Susan.
Bye.
Happy Thanksgiving.
I'll be picking up your son after the show. So
okay, bye.
All right, bye.
I say that to people and I get punched in the mouth, but never mind that. By the way, what time was that? It was 8:28 into the program, folks. Rather late, I might say. 8:28 for you, those of you keeping track at home.
That sounds negative to put a positive spin on it. You're having some great self-control as we're moving on here.
as opposed to the usual pool of human filth and degradation that I tend to wallow in.
Hey, can I offer some criticism live before we go to our post-show little soiree?
Yes.
What happened to when you used to have those photos behind you rotate? Because this one's been up for 2.5 episodes now.
You guys got irritated with it. I thought you didn't like it anymore, so I just stopped. I can still do it.
It's better than having the same guys for 2 straight shows.
Well, I'm sorry. Would you make it? You guys are so bipolar. You love it, you hate it. You love it, you hate it.
Well, I tell you what, I'd rather not have any of it, but it looks better than this freaking curtain behind me.
Well, I mean, which goes back to seriously. It goes back to the money thing. I mean, in all seriousness, when you think about it, it's really not a gigantic hill to climb. I'm looking into that studio that Tim had mentioned over in Ipsy. I want to contact them and then getting a hold of basically a couple of briefcases worth of equipment, which would be just enough for us to have a 2 to 3 camera setup. Some desk microphones, which you seem to be rather fond of, that would give us good sound. A TriCaster. Well, that's fine.
Even more than the desk microphones. Some of these that I watch, they wear the headsets. Some they don't.
Right.
I think, but the ones that don't have headsets, they do have a guy off stage in a control room controlling the sound and the camera angles and all that stuff. So
I think you should have one headset with one ear in and one ear free. Now, you worked in radio professionally. I mean, you've been in other broadcast settings. I mean, I think
Well, in radio is completely different because I was in radio before there was any YouTube or anybody was on the air while they were on the
watching.
Radio. Now, right. Exactly. And you never took the headsets off. Nobody saw you. You never got dressed. You didn't have to worry about what you were wearing when we did radio.
Unless you were Santa Claus, Mr. Sweetman.
Unless you were Santa Claus.
Exactly. Mr. Host.
But anyway, the headsets. Well, the headsets and the microphones. I mean, in radio, they had to be premium. I mean, television, you can get away with stuff because you had the visual. You know what I mean? That people sometimes forgive bad sound if the picture was hard because you're watching it. You're not. I mean, you have to hear it. But by the same token, if the picture goes out in radio, nobody knows because there is no picture in radio.
No. And Yeah, I like the Drew Lane show. I mean, again, whether you approve of the content
That's
or not.
another good pod. Drew Lane show is another good podcast.
Drew Lane show is, and again, I'm looking at that, and I bring up I am, I'm looking into trying to get the money together to get some of this stuff piece by piece, and so that we can actually put something like that together. A lot of people have said the hardest part about doing a podcast is just doing it on a regular basis. Mark, you have hundreds of shows under your belt.
We're already doing it.
Exactly.
This is our 280. This is our 289th episode. Hold on here.
And we are absolutely blowing the chance to talk shit about Andy while he's not here. And certainly
let's start. Let's
yeah.
Let us begin. Let us begin.
Out there hanging out in some dust-covered California town with some heavily tattooed child playing Santa.
Well, can I tell you, when I look at the weather forecast for the coming weeks here in Michigan, I'd rather be where he is, actually. So
I have no doubt. And it's a role that he genuinely loves doing. And if someone put a gun to my head and said, you've got your choice, you may dwell with Satan for the rest of your life, or you can be Santa for 1 year at the Troy Mall, it would be a Jack Benny moment. It would be like, I'm thinking, I don't know.
I particularly like after the season's over and he comes back in January and we get to hear all the bitching on stage,
Indeed.
And last year's new edition was what not to do when you go take your kid to see Santa. I love that.
Yes, great. It will. Hey, have you guys been able to make it over to Ned's over there in Clinton or in the Clinton? Over in Canton, because
we've been 2 or 3 times. Yeah, it's okay. Right around the corner. It's right around the corner from our house, so it's easier to get there than it is the Gun Club.
Yes, I would very much like to make that a regular haunt for me.
And now that they've kind of erased me from Unclub duties, I'd rather go to the Canton show because there's real audiences there.
Well, sadly, we're not missing. I don't wish to sit here and, this is great, so that other place must be trash. But that place Ned is doing is really great, and the Unclub is trash. I
didn't say that. And you know what? It's not the same. Really, you know what? It's not. When Claire left, that's when everything changed.
Yes.
Everything changed. When Claire left, there was always... she was getting the room ready for us, even though there was, in other words, she wouldn't let the trivia show sort of interfere with our show.
No, it was great. It was a wonderful lead-in, in fact.
Yeah, and I always had an area there where I could do my workshop before the show that we did with the comic, doing all the material and stuff like that. And once she left, I just couldn't. Susan's upset because that was an income producer for us. We were charging, whatever it was, $175 for the 5 weeks or something like that to go through that, and then it was like $5 or $10 for each session, and that was sort of voluntary. We didn't really, if you contributed if you gave as much as you took from that, we really didn't care about how much we collected. It was like a tin can that we took donations for, so we kind of kept track of it. I kind of knew. And I kind of knew who was giving. I was, and there's a couple of guys that Ryan Berry and Yogi and Lisa Green and these people. They took a lot out. They took a lot out of it, but they gave a lot back to it. So,
well, that's what I was sort of going to get at, was that you, over that period of time, you actually cultivated a very nice collection of really up and coming comedians, people that you could have taken. I would like to see maybe at Ridley or some of the other clubs. Now, and sadly, since then, they some have moved away. I mean, which is in the nature of things. You're dealing with younger people for the most part. So, what can you do? They move on.
And you were here. You were here when this was. I still prefer the mix, the back room at the mix, more than anything we've ever done.
Absolutely perfect.
That when I think there's a picture that popped up on my
feed,
my Google photos.
Yes.
Every once in a while I say, hey, look what happened on November 24th back in 2003.
Yeah.
2011, 2017. It's like through the years. And one popped up the other day. It's been not the other day, but within the last month, and it was Andy on stage, and it said, here's why Sunday nights are great at the Unclub. That was the title underneath it, and then on it, the picture, you could see Andy on stage, but the light was such that you only saw sort of shadowy figures. So I had them all labeled.
Right.
Civilian, 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 comic, civilian, civilian, comic, comic, civilian. And so I pointed out how many of the people in the audience were there to see comedy and not there to do comedy. Right. And that's what made that little theater so unique, and everything about it I love. The free drinks was way different, because what we did was we collected money, and Tim or I would go out and buy that boxed wine and a couple of cases of beer. Yeah. And we always had enough money. Every comic threw in $5 because they got a great show with an audience. Yes. And everything about that was great. And Ed's wife fucked it up for us because she didn't want to have it in there anymore. Ed loved it. Ed was the reason we were in there as long as we were,
Yeah. No, it was sad to lose it. There's no doubt about that. And
I mean, and we had that brother theater type character. I can't remember his name now, but you know who I'm talking about? The guy that was like the philosopher that talked about his.
Oh yeah, he was great. He'd come in and start going on about the Peloponnesian War and the various foibles.
Great. We'd have a couple of people that were like winos from the street that would come in because they knew that they couldn't have any of the wine unless they did time on stage, so they get up, and sometimes they were
and yeah, exactly. And well, I mean, winos can be toxic or charming and amusing.
And we had Norm came by there one time and did 45 minutes, and it was great. And
did an absolute clinic for those of you who wanted to be a professional comedian. Yeah, you had a chance to really see someone up close and personal.
And Brad Wenzel and Tanner Oliver when they were first starting, and Mary Santora. I mean, it was God. And the thing is, I go into the ale house, and I like the ale house. I like the
atmosphere. I like the ale house. Yeah.
I like that when we first started, it was packed, and we started doing that.
Yes.
Now, part of it's my fault because I didn't do because the whole culture is different now.
Yes.
There are people that never would have gotten back up on that stage after the first time. Joe Weigel with his naming, the numbering thing was funny. Yes. But the jokes had to be funny too. I mean, I like
after
number 84.
That
that was cute, but that's that joke wears when the jokes aren't funny. If you're doing funny jokes, I mean, that deserves a callback. Like you do a joke that 84 wasn't good. All right, I'll go back into the 300s again. I'm sorry.
Yes,
exactly. I don't know what I was thinking. Joe the Animal wouldn't have gotten as many chances. I mean, you know what I mean? And there's some people, I mean, and it turns out now, these are the people that are really hitting a Yogi and Vivian and just people when you, and I like Kwambo too.
Yes.
But she needs to work more than just that short little set she does. I don't know how she gets any work. I mean, you got to build up to a half-hour set to make a living doing this,
Is Vivian, is she still in this area, or did she go to Chicago?
She moved to Chicago about a year ago, a little over a year, September of last year, yeah.
Yes. And
about the time I was going out to L.A., she was going to Chicago.
See, again, this is a wish machine. I wished I were seriously 30 years younger.
And that's another thing. That's another thing that's another thing that happened to us. We were doing pretty well, and we didn't. The big hit, I think, the peak at the Ale House was when we did the Unnies, the Unnie Awards.
Yeah,
that was a great show. Had a lot of people. Everybody was talking about the Unclub. Right. What a great show it was. And every even at the Mix and at the Yellow Barn, it was the Unnies that were the best shows of the year. Right.
Right.
And couldn't do it last year because a lot of things happened in my family. My brother, my son announced he was getting engaged and getting married in 2 months. The day before my brother shot himself and killed himself. So there was a lot of shit going on in my family. And so I had to make a decision that, comedy wasn't the most important thing in this part of 2024.
Yeah.
I had other things to take care of. Well, by the time I got back, all hell was, the whole place is fucked up.
Now, again, they've got these rules. And listen, I understand the spirit of what they're trying to accomplish. Believe it or not. As transgressive as I'd like to be, I also don't want people to be unhappy. I don't want to walk a room. I'm sure at some point I have, or I've done things that people
But
didn't necessarily love.
How about the rule of being funny?
Precisely.
Keep all those rules.
Precisely.
Be nice
That's
to
the first
everybody,
rule.
but be goddamn funny. I mean, that's the thing that
That's
gets
the
me.
and you know what? If someone crosses a line, again, you've been in this business your whole freaking life here. Someone crosses a line, seriously, you can take them off stage and say, "Hey, listen, you need to dial that back."
Yep.
You know, that's crossing the line.
Yep.
Professional comedians, any kind of professional can accept professional criticism. Now I go up there and I'm just worried about this guy flashing cards at me, and have I violated a rule, or have I stepped, and I'm not thinking about the material.
When we did open mics were the chance for us to get a scorecard from the other comics.
Yes.
Because back when I was working, the comics didn't see, there were 3 guys being paid at the show. And the only time that you'd see guys at the castle, and, you know, you'd see people saying this is coming along, or we trade bits. Somebody say, hey, that's not working very well for you. I think I could do better with that. And then we trade bits or something. You know, that happened all the time. Yeah. These guys think trading bits is kind of like, you know, it's like giving up your children, or you know, like that's the thought it's now. It's a family channel on Pornhub or something, you know. It's like,
that came out of your mouth, not mine.
That's true. Yeah.
Hold on. This is Mark Sweetman, 842. In the show number, what? A couple hundred? What are we on?
289.
Before that, anyway. That's where Mark Sweetman came in, folks, not me. I'm your squeaky queen host.
But anyway, I mean, I get that. And I get the other side too, that goes the opposite way. The Joe Rogan branch of comedy that's taking everybody the opposite way. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, oh yeah, move to Austin because we don't censor you here. You can say whatever racist shit you want. You know, that type of thing.
Well, I was listening to Richard Pryor saying a lot of racist things, but you know what? He was saying it to a white audience. A lot of the stuff that he was saying rang with the audience was laughing along because a lot of what he was saying was true.
Yeah.
Or had some relevance to truth.
Had some relevance, yeah, exactly.
So he could say really awful things that were funny. And because guess what? People do really awful things. And one way of dealing with that is not to sit there and clutch our poor pearls and act aghast, but to laugh. Because again, to ridicule something is to take away its power. The one thing that power has generally disdained is ridicule. It does not put up with that. It's why the court jester for powerful kings and whatnot was actually a royal person who had an appointment, and that jester could actually say things that no one else dare say, and they could get away with it.
By the way,
occasionally they'd get their head cut off too. You know,
here's something I mentioned it to Susan, but I didn't mention about doing it on the show. But 19 days until Dick Van Dyke turns 100.
Nice.
And so there's nothing we can really do on this show other than to tell people, think about Dick Van Dyke. I'd like him not to. We wanted Betty White to make 100. She missed it by a week or 5 days. We want Dick Van Dyke to make it. I mean,
it would be nice.
It would be nice. And then after him, the next guy is Mel Brooks. So
I think Mel will do just fine. I don't know. I think if the Angel of Death showed up at his store, he would so amuse him, and you know he would be like, oh, heck, I'm going out. Yeah, I'm heading out here. No, there's a junkie down the street. No, we'll go do him.
Did you ever see Woody Allen's Love and Death?
No.
His parody of War and Peace.
I've got to see that.
Or his homage. It wasn't really a parody. It was an homage. But anyway, the death, the white clothed angel of death with a sickle, you know, basically. And then he says, but he comes to see him a lot in this movie. Like he comes to see him as a child. I mean, he's like a 12-year-old child, and the angel of death is there, and he starts asking him questions. He goes, "Are there girls in heaven?" Yeah, you know, the guys answer questions.
Oh dear. Well, you know, again, it's hard to believe. Has it been 50 years since Annie Hall, or it's almost 50 years?
Since 76. It'll be next year.
Next year.
50 years. Yep.
I mean, so it's been more than 50 years since Sleeper, Bananas.
Absolutely.
Yep. He had sort of a string of films that kept getting kind of bigger and bigger. His
big three started because he won the Oscar with Annie.
Yeah.
Annie Hall. He had Annie Hall, and then Manhattan, and then Stardust Memories. Those were the ones that slowly drug him into the I'm a filmmaker, not a comedian.
Yeah, he's top and top tier filmmaker, top, A-list.
Oh
Get whichever you want.
Well, he's made some films. He's made some films that are just hilarious.
Right.
That are just good films. I mean, did you ever see? I think it's called New York Stories, where at the beginning of it, his family's at a radio show. This is like in the 40s when the live audience for the radio shows. They didn't have television back then, and his family's at the show, and they're calling somebody out of the phone book to have them win a prize.
Right.
And their house is getting robbed, and the robbers answer the phone and win the prize. And they're sitting there watching this. They're calling their number.
Yes.
And they don't know that they didn't know that they were robbers until they got home, and they realized that the robbers had won the prize. They had robbed everything, but a week later, all this merchandise started showing up that the robbers had won by answering this question on the show. That is just a funny bit. You know what I mean?
You remember Joe Frank from NPR?
Yeah.
He did a variation on that theme where he did a satire of a NPR pledge drive. Someone had won a contest from the NPR pledge drive, and everyone plays this just straight, and it's wonderful. Guy calls up and informs the lucky winner that she's just won this vacation, and he's ticking off all the nice things that go along with the vacation, and then she gets interrupted by another phone call, which she answers very briefly and comes back, and she's very distraught, and then it finds out that the other phone call was someone calling to say that her sister had died.
Oh my God.
And then the lady's husband gets on the phone and goes, "This is outrageous. How dare you?" Hold on, where are we going? Well, hold on. Can we change that? Can we change the destination? And in the meantime, he's also on the. You can hear him sort of covering the phone. Well, what do you expect? Well, she was gonna die anyways. And you can hear the other one just screaming. And it was his homage to the NPR fundraising fund drive. Again, Joe Frank had that just dry as the desert sense of humor that one had to appreciate. If you ever worked nights and were in a parking lot of a 7-Eleven about to go in and get a Diet Coke or a Red Bull, and yet one of his bits would come on, it's like, oh, hell, I'm going to be here.
You'd stay in the car until it was over.
It super glue. You couldn't leave. Yeah. This wasn't when you could just take music with you or hit pause. No, you had to sit here or he'd call up one of his friends in the middle of the night and tape the recording or record the conversation. And apparently he felt that he was sort of liberally, I don't know if ripped off is the right word, by This American Life. Maybe he was, maybe he wasn't. I don't know. I know that Ira Glass worked for him as an intern.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but again, they have similarities in that they have a sound bed going in back and some narration and whatnot. But again, Joe Frank was again he was genuinely funny, genuinely dark. And he could find a way to make those things work together, which gets us back to Unclub again. If all they're going to say is all we can make is sort of happy, chirpy jokes, you're just gonna strangle it, because you're right. The first rule is be funny.
I'm telling you, it's not the difference between the space of the mix and the space of the Unclub.
No, it isn't.
It's the people that are there.
Yes,
I mean,
exactly.
as it used to be, Chili and I were able to draw the Norm Solzes, the Mike Jeters, you know what I mean? The sort of
Mike Jeter. Oh my goodness.
You know what I mean? The big shots in the business. The Mary Santora, she was headlining by and still coming by the Unclub. Steve Bildnitzer would come by. John Heffron would come by. I mean, we had.
I consider myself an opener, because one time I went up before him, so I opened for John Heff, and I met and talked to him and everything. He was the nicest guy in the world. I had no idea that this guy had the resume that he had.
Yeah. So anyway, I mean that's the difference is they came by and they saw that there was an audience and they saw that everybody was working on their craft, and you go by the ale house. and you could go by now, and some of those guys that'll go up, and they're working on the same 3 minutes that they've been. I mean, 3 minutes that they stretch into 6. You know what I mean?
Well, you could accuse me of that on certain levels, although I try and get new material in there here and there.
I always felt you had something of a point, and like you'd go back to the tried and true stuff, to close up the show. That was that's you're working on it. You're working on an act, That's the way that works.
And the thing about the closing rant, the thing is you can sort of like stud that with different material over time.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not exactly the same. And again,
but I like that I like that in the warmer months the back room got bigger because we just went out that back door. We went out the back door at the mix, and the back alley was like our green room.
Exactly.
God, that was like everything about that made me feel younger. It inspired Chili started working more.
One of my favorite nights there, we were over at we weren't in the mix anymore, but we were over there, at the brew pub there, and the police were out back, and the things were going well, and you just pointed at me and said, "You're up next," and I'm like, "Okay," and just went up there, and I had the best.
Are you talking about when the police were behind you?
The police were behind me. The lights were going.
Ned was on stage and he couldn't do it. I could relax. I got somebody to put up there.
Right, and I did 5 minutes of the best work I ever did in my life.
Oh, that's another thing.
I can't remember a thing about it, but I mean, it was great, and that's why I want to look at some of these other places and try and get some other material. I know I've been a bit sidetracked, and come on, let's face it. Am I ever going to make it anywhere? Hell, I don't know.
Well,
maybe.
Canton. Here's the nice thing about Canton is that it appears as though they're more committed to comedy than the Ale House is now. Same type of situation. It's a brew house.
Exactly.
It's a brew pub, and but the fact that they put lighting, sound, they improved the lighting, the sound,
nice lighting, nice sound.
Exactly, and it was better the week after you came than it was the week you came. So somebody made some improvements to that.
And I enjoyed sort of the atmosphere. It wasn't as constrained. It wasn't like where I'm not walking on eggshells, which is I guess is the point that I was getting. And again, I don't want to crap all over Unclub. I mean, God knows that's where I got my start and whatnot. And I have no idea why Ridley's will have nothing to do with me anymore. I don't know. The last time I was there, you were there. It seemed to go fairly well, but I also think that in terms of comedy clubs these days, they really just want to push the younger people. The headliner might be different in terms of the headliner. If you have a solid headliner who's middle-aged, whatnot, that's one thing. But for the people sort of the local area that you're trying to promote, they want to grab some new kids and put them up there. They don't want anything to do with us geriatric folks. They just don't. But maybe I'm just not good enough. Perhaps I'm just making excuses at the same time. Recently,
I don't know what we were talking about back at 8:17, but I just saw this this message that I put on the screen.
Yes.
It says everyone on the internet is Indian until proven to be Israeli. I'll have to go back and look and see what we were talking about.
We were talking about the Twitter reveal where Elon allowed everyone to see where all these accounts actually originate from.
Okay.
Rather than I mean, and it wasn't just political sites. I mean, they had all these little cam girls who were like, "Oh yes, I'm Miss Beautiful Candy, whatever, from Novi, Michigan," and it turns out it's a dude in Delhi who's running this Twitter thing here.
Seeing this thing up on the screen right now reminds me, I got to do that at the beginning. Tell people, I'll do it now since there's still somebody viewing the show here.
Yes.
Go ahead and hit the like button on your browser there, wherever it says like. I don't know what it looks. I am on we use a program called StreamYard, which gives me a dashboard, which I don't see exactly what's seen on YouTube, but I know there's a like button on YouTube that you can use.
Right.
And let's see if I can get. There we go. All right. And so let me give all these.
There we go.
Here. So here is There's our opening. That's usually what we open with. We're on episode 289, and then we like you to like and subscribe. Every podcaster says the same thing.
Yes, we're no different.
Like and subscribe, and so click the like button. And the subscribe button, you have to do from our YouTube page, unless there's a subscribe button on your page. Again, I'm going to have to look at this without logging in so I can see what civilians see. You know what I mean? Just go to my kid's computer and see what it says. But I do know that if you go to youtube.com/attheoffnight, you can get to the subscribe button there. What else have I got here? Oh, if you, this I've had up all night. So that's how the comments, that's how this person knew how to get comments out there.
Yes.
Because that's the address you go to get comments. Thanks for the comment. If you'd like to join us, now this will get you into our, what we call the green room or our dashboard. I will see you if you come on with a camera. If you don't come on with a camera, it's not likely we're going to put you on unless you can prove to me that you're somebody famous. If you're a big shot, we'll put you on.
Yeah.
And then that's pretty much it. All the other stuff we do every week. Susan did her poem. It's usually based on news headlines, and we have fun with that. If you tuned in tonight to see Sam Greenfield, I'm sorry to say, he passed away 6 months ago. God love him. And, his birthday is January 2nd. We should probably do a show then for...
I can still hear him yelling at us from beyond the grave. Get me out of here. Put me back on.
Exactly.
Oh my God.
Well, the last 4 months of shows he did from a hospital room. So,
which again goes to show the level of professionalism Sam was able to muster. He's and mildly or sometimes even directly insulting his roommate. If he'd shut up over there, oh God, I miss Sam. Oh dear. I mean, we just sometimes I still can't believe that he's no longer with us. I mean, in certain ways he certainly is, and some of the material he said that I'm free to use, I still want to find a way to work it in. I love what he said about golf, how an outing with friends golfing usually degrades into alcoholism and mild racism. I think that's I got to find a way to sort of work that in somewhere somehow, because it's a very astute observation, and again he gave us carte blanche to use which. When you think about it, I mean, isn't that a wonderful sort of bequeath to sit there and say some of this stuff? Yeah, go ahead, please get it out there, because he's not using it.
He's not using it, and he wasn't in any. It's not like he was going to go back on stage. I mean, Sam did really more than I did, and he like me. He had spurts where he was making a lot of money, and then times when there wasn't a lot of money. And can I tell you something? It's that sort of lifestyle that allowed me to not go crazy during the salad days, so that that's how we're able to retire. I could have never done this. And I don't think the kids starting out today, now that they're all working for free to try to get their Netflix get.
Welcome to the internet.
So, I mean, I don't see how they're going to be able to do it. You know what I mean? There were times when I went from making 2,500 to 100 for a week. You know what I mean? That's just the way it went. So
I love Dave Landau tells a brief but interesting story about what it is to work with someone who's an opener or a headliner who's making a 6-figure salary while you get paid $500 for your efforts, as the middle guy for the weekend. And I don't know exactly who he was referencing, but Landau's been in the business again for a while, so I'm sure he knows one or two people who would fit that bill. I'm certain that he's not just making it up. It's just one of them things. So,
well, there used to be a line when I was working the road. I can't remember who did it first, but I heard a lot of comics do it. It was sort of like a comics line that would tell, among other comics, well, I did what most comics do today. I went to the mall and watched the headliners spend money. I'm gonna have to find out who wrote that.
Oh God! Does the comedy condo still exist? Because the stories from the comedy condo, from various comedians, were.
You know what? I don't think so, because the clubs that are still around, it's not worth the money to keep a condo, because there's no club going 7 nights a week like there used to be. Oh. The Punchline in Atlanta had 3 clubs, and they bought this huge house on I can't think of the name of the street. I'll look it up later. But they had they had 9 comics in there because they had all 3 comics from all 3 clubs in that one house. Now, the big names, like one time I was working with Brad Garrett, he says, I'm getting a hotel. He demanded a hotel room. He wasn't going to stay in the comedy condo. But anyway, yeah, that's our closing music, and we're at an hour, so it's time to get out of here. Hey, thanks for joining us. This is Jason Grant, Mark Sweetman. We're here every Monday night at 8 o'clock. I'm going to go and show them again. Here's our band. There we go. That's the off. Here you go.
There we go.
Like and subscribe. And then the others are no good too because they're ending at there's our YouTube channel. Go ahead and check it out. You can go all the way back 4 years and we start putting on YouTube all of that. We started out at Facebook. We found out that it's harder to monetize on Facebook than it is on YouTube, so we switched to YouTube. So those 4 years of YouTube are still out there. So that you can get on that address right there. And that's about it. We'll see you. This is episode 289. We'll be back next week at 8 o'clock. So long, everybody.
Yeah.